Hello, boys and girls. I'm feeling pretty cocky and confident, so let's see if we can just shoot this video from the hip. If you're watching this, looks like I could. Patrol bases. Patrol bases are a way that a military projects presence in a contested area. All right. You see, the area is contested. We can't fully dominate that area. It could be for lots of different reasons. Perhaps we don't own the airspace. Perhaps the terrain is too aggressive that we're not able to bring enough supplies into there. Perhaps the enemy is just too prevalent that their continual harassment and attacks and sabotage prevents us from being able to build up a large fortified position. Whatever the case is, we can't build a castle here, but we want to be here. We want to eventually build a castle here. So we're going to send out a bunch of patrol bases, or as many as we need, depending on the size of the area. Patrol base is squad plus to a platoon minus situation. So you look in the neighborhood of 30 guys, okay? And they're going to go out, and they're going to set up a little shop, set up a little base, a little campsite, very low profile. The actual patrol base itself is operating on principles of stealth, not force, for its defensive posture. All right, and then you're going to push dudes out on LPOP missions or reconnaissance patrols to gain information, and possibly you can break down your patrol base, which doesn't consist of any actual physical fortifications, and deploy your entire fighting force, your entire 30-ish dudes, to do an attack or an assault upon the enemy, hoping to get a devastating, crushing defeat on them and a glorifying victory for yourself. So, again, when we're establishing this patrol base, we need to do it on stealth. We need to pick a really shitty area. The shittier the area, the better, right? We don't want our patrol base to be seen. We do not have a castle to hide behind. We are out in the open in a contested zone. So we are going to utilize stealth and just general shittiness to set up our patrol base. If I could set my patrol base inside of a thorn bush in a landfill, that's where I would want to be, because nobody in their right mind is going to walk through the landfill and then search inside the thorn bush. So I'm probably pretty safe being in that shit spot, just by nature of humans aren't going to want to go there. I'm going to be that crazy, disciplined, tough asshole, and I'm going to go live there for a while. All right? Welcome to being a fighter. It sucks. All right, so I'm living in the thorn bush inside the landfill on top of a pile of human feces. No one's going to find me there. It's amazing. I'm having a great time. I'm pushing out patrols on a regular basis. I've divided my forces into 3 groups, right? I have a group on rest. I have a group actively securing my location, and then I have a group out on patrol or listening post or whatever the case is, right? Out there doing something for me. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's what a patrol base is. That's what a patrol base does. In more modern iterations, right, you can occupy structures, right? That patrol base doesn't have to be that thorn bush in the middle of a landfill out in the middle of nowhere. You can take over a building and operate out of there. If your patrol base is out in the open in a traditional standpoint and it's not a more modified, fortified situation, you're going to want to move that patrol base frequently. Obviously, MET-TC is going to dictate. I think the doctrinal book tells you every 3 days at a minimum you need to move. And also, if you get compromised, even if it's a soft compromise, for any reason, you're going to have to immediately break down and move your patrol base as well, right? Again, we want to not be discovered by the enemy. That's how we're going to survive in the patrol base, is not being seen by the enemy. For those dudes that aren't at the patrol base because they're out on patrol, right? We have 1 squad on rest, 1 squad on security, 1 squad out on active patrol. If they did bring their larger rucksack or gear that they would like to stage and not take on patrol at the patrol base, they're more than welcome to do so. And the patrol base attendees, if compromised, should attempt to grab the gear of their fellow comrades who are currently out on patrol. However, in the reality of life, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So the patrol base is definitely a time where you might want to have a butt pack with a bit of sustainment on it, so that way you always have a way to purify water and a tarp and some stuff like that no matter what happens to your main ruck. It's also a time where you might want to consider packing light and just always carrying your stuff, so that way you reduce the risk of it getting lost, but then that means your nights are going to be a little cold. How long do patrol bases last? Well, that kind of just depends. They can last indefinitely, right? Especially if you have the logistical train to resupply. You can drive in supplies through roadways and have the patrol base attendees link up for resupply, or you can airdrop them supplies. Then they can just perpetually be in the patrol base for weeks or months, whatever you need. Or you can have them self-sustain, right? Which is probably more realistic for the guerrilla aspect. Live off the land, work out deals with locals, self-sustain, and then thus, because you're self-sustaining, you can operate a clandestine patrol base indefinitely. The military likes to cross over, right? Sometimes, especially in the GWOT, in Iraq and Afghanistan, we would have fortified positions with sandbags and HESCO barriers that we would call patrol bases and operated out of them kind of like a patrol base, but we were not operating out of stealth, right? But it was still just that 30-ish dudes out there. So I think that the way of describing that scenario was that it was based off manpower, not off logistical limitations, right? The logistical limitation was the manpower. They didn't want to have the entire military forward deployed at all times, so we couldn't have an entire company occupying each AO. We had to give smaller units those AOs. Thus, they were operating out of patrol bases, not larger encampments or fortifications, by technical terminology. Yeah. Yep. Patrol bases.